What if I told you there was a prequel to the Resident Evil original game made with the remake engine, played the same way as those did, but with a new flair to it? You would be like, heck yeah, I'm down to play that, right?
Shut up and take my money!
Well, you would be partially right, but in the long run, this really felt like a chore, or more like a filler than anything else. What I'm talking about is my review of
Resident Evil 0.
Edward, are you all right? What happened?
It's worse than... We can't. You must be careful, Rebecca. The forest is full of zombies and monsters.
Zombies and monsters.
I recently played and finished the game for the very first time. If you're interested on seeing the whole playthrough, it's on this channel, so check it out. Well, let's get started. Resident Evil 0 is a survival horror game that was developed and published by Capcom for the Nintendo GameCube and released in 2002. Then, in 2016, it got ported to other platforms later with remastered high-definition version for modern consoles and PC. This would be the last of the titles in the franchise to use the original multi-view gameplay system prior to the release of Resident Evil 4. Resident Evil 0 received generally positive reviews and sold well during that time, but over the years, fans have changed their minds, being mixed on it now.
And how was the T-virus created? To uncover the truth, we must delve deeper into the events which transpired in the beginning, before the mansion incident.
To sum up the story, it starts on July 23rd, 1998, a day before the original Resident Evil. A train owned by the pharmaceutical company Umbrella, the Ecliptic Express, comes under attack from a swarm of leeches. As the passengers and crew are attacked, a mysterious young man watches from a hillside. 2 hours later, the Bravo team of the Special Tactics and Rescue Service STARS,
You're with stars.
a tactical unit of Raccoon City Police Department, RPD, is sent to investigate a series of cannibalistic murders in the Arklay Mountains outside of Raccoon City. Very similar to the original, but a bit different. Anyway, on the way to the scene, its helicopter has an engine failure and crash lands in the forest. Searching the area, the team's rookie medic officer, Rebecca Chambers of Bravo team, comes across the express. Now motionless, she begins to investigate this scene, only to find out passengers and crew transformed into zombies. As she explores the train, she teams up with Billy Cohen, a former Marine Force reconnaissance officer who was to be executed for killing 23 people until the military police van transporting him crashed into the region. Billy and Rebecca must survive the nightmare and expose the dark secrets of what has caused it. Through the game, you learn about the backstory to more of Umbrella, employees, and their experiments. To be honest, the backstory or the lore always intrigued me in the Resident Evil franchise. Learning about what happened to the area with journal entries or flashbacks, learning about the backstabbing in the company and monsters that we're creating were all very interesting to learn about. I always give that a plus. Continuing on with the two main characters, Rebecca Chambers, which if you played the first Resident Evil, playing as Chris, she is one of the people to help you in that game. She is a rookie medic in the game, and it shows how she seems to be scared but wants to help. For being so young, she is also a tough cookie than most people would think. She sometimes needs help from Billy, but she could hold her own even after what happens to her through this game. So learning how strong she was in the game and surviving, you would think she would act like that in the original Resident Evil. But she actually doesn't. What happened to her whole character between 0 and 1? Who knows? Now, the next character that teams up is Billy Cohen, which was an alright character, learning about his past in the military and why he was going to be executed. Spoiler alert, he wasn't a bad dude, but went against his general orders to kill civilians and got the blame for it. In the beginning, Billy and Rebecca had some nice banter back and forth with each other.
It's gonna be dangerous from here on in. Why don't we cooperate?
Cooperate with you?
Listen, little girl, if you haven't noticed, there's some pretty freaked out things on this train. And I, for one, want to get out of here. I don't think we stand a chance doing it alone.
You expect me to trust you, a wanted felon? I don't need your help. I can handle this on my own. And don't call me little girl.
All right, Miss Do-It-Yourself. What should I call you?
The name is Rebecca Chambers, but that's Officer Chambers to you.
Well then, Rebecca, why don't you go and try while I wait here?
Later on, learning to trust each other until the very end.
Billy!
Rebecca, where am I?
You're safe now. Are you okay?
It was a nice evolution of a criminal and cop working together no matter what a nightmare situation they were in. The ending went straight into the next game with defeating the Queen Leech and blowing up the facility as in Resident Evil fashion. Rebecca and Billy make it out going their separate ways, while Rebecca makes it to the Spencer mansion and Billy takes off being a free man going into the wild, never to be heard from or seen again. Dead or alive? Who knows? Also, one other thing you learn a bit about are William Birkin and Albert Wesker. Their intent evolving forward for the franchise, as well as Oswald E. Spencer and James Marcus's partnership at Umbrella, which wasn't a good one in the end between them. Marcus had a weird fetish with those leeches anyway.
Disgusting. Disgusting.
Okay, let's move on to the gameplay. So it feels like the Resident Evil 1 remake with the fixed camera angles, which is a plus. I really enjoyed those older games, but I know it's not for everyone. So the new thing they did from the other game is a feature called the partner zapping system. It's unique in the series in that instead of choosing a single character to play the entire game, the player controls both Rebecca and Billy. Both characters can travel together or split up and search separate areas each at the same time. This was an interesting concept that I really didn't mind. There is also advantages and disadvantages for what character you would play. Like Rebecca can acquire chemicals with her mixing kit and can get into tight spaces, but is more fragile to enemy attacks. In contrast, Billy can handle heavy objects, has an oil lighter, and can sustain more damage than Rebecca, but cannot mix herbs. Another new feature is one of the worst things to be added, I think, and made the game way harder than it needed to be. So you know in the original Resident Evil, you have save rooms with a typewriter and an item box, right? Well, for this one, they kept the typewriters and ink ribbons, but they took away the item box. So instead, the player can now drop items on the floor to make room for new ones and must retrace their steps back to the room where they previously dropped the item when they need it later in the game. This was so annoying, running back and forth most of my time. Just doing this was just a joke at times, and I was going to quit on how dumb this was.
Trust me.
At least the locations of dropped or touched items are displayed on the map. That helped a bit. Don't get me started about those monkeys and beach humanoid creatures. They were the absolute worst.
Get over here.
Now I think about it, besides the train sequence in the beginning being pretty good, the game takes a nosedive after that with the mansion and facility areas. They felt like a copy and paste in a way like Resident Evil 1. The train part at least felt fresh and new. The monsters, for me, felt like just whatever. Some copy and pastes again with just more animals or animal zombie hybrid types to fight. Another is the bosses were also just meh, with the proto tyrant being the most memorable because how much it chases you at the very end parts. I wonder why Rebecca never mentioned to Chris she fought a tyrant before, but okay. Also, that endgame boss was not impressive either. There is a little bit of things that really don't make sense for the continuity or what is going to happen in the next game, which for me feels like filler to lengthen the game out. Not saying there is a lot that didn't need it to be shown. I liked the backstory that went on, but I would have been okay if it really didn't exist. This game should have been a small DLC story for the RE1 remake, but became a full-fledged game that really wasn't really needed. I understand it was a different time, though. Now the graphics. I really liked it with the photorealistic images, just like in RE1 remake. It still holds up. The setting and the environments, they're great, especially the train parts. The audio and music felt fine, building a haunting atmosphere and for those intense moments while still having those relaxing parts in the save rooms. There is also extra costumes you can unlock and buy for both characters. There is more things you can unlock even after beating the game. A leech mode and a Wesker mode, which I really didn't bother on checking out. Just beating the main story was fine for me. It's still nice of them to add more playability to it, even if you didn't like it or did.
Thank you, Rebecca.
Overall, it's a decent game, but nothing on the level of what RE1 Remake had, in my opinion. It had some good ideas going for it, but wasn't executed perfectly. Felt like a meh altogether. I would just wait for a sale or just move on for casuals and play the Resident Evil 1 Remake. That is a much better game. If you're an RE fan, then all means give it a go. but it will be way harder and difficult than you think it would be. Thank you for watching this video. If you enjoyed this review, please leave a like, follow, and sub. If you didn't like this video, well, I thank you for watching this long. Take care all, and I'll see you on the next one.